Fantanka, an organization that raises awareness on sexual and reproductive health issues in the Gambia. We are doing these videos to inform the general public about sexual and reproductive health. It is not common for young people to talk to parents about sexual and reproductive health matters because it can be embarrassing for parents. It could be that parents could judge them when they talk about the issue because once they start asking questions, it can be interpreted as they are sexually active already, which could just discourage them from talking about the topic.
Find somebody who will. If you don't want to do it, find somebody who will, or you just bite the bullet and do it. Because for me, I was lucky to where I say I have two moms, which my aunt made her, so rest in peace. Like when I was like 13, she brought condoms. She was like, here. And my mom was like, what are you doing? Why are you giving him this? Da, da, da. And she was like, hey, leave me alone, okay? And then she talked, I wasn't even having sex or anything, you know? But she just was like, yeah, I see what you're doing out here. But you know, but that opened me up to like, okay, it's okay to you know, talk about these things and protect yourself and make sure that, you know, you don't do anything that will jeopardize your health.
So parents must understand that information is more readily available than it used to be. For example, young people can have access to smartphones where they can have access to pornographic sites, movies that would give them unfiltered information, and many other sources. So without talking to young people about sexual and reproductive health matters, they may get wrong information from wrong sources. Professionals have highlighted that parents would go to seek help when it's too late. They would go to the hospitals or clinics to get professional opinion if they think that their girls, for example, have fallen pregnant. They would go seek help to avoid embarrassment in the community or embarrassment to come to their family. Parents have come to them to ask for abortion when it's too late, or they will come to ask for contraceptives when the young person has fallen pregnant the first time. So they will just ask for contraceptives so there would not be another pregnancy.
I think parents and the younger generation should be more open and accepting to the idea of talking about, discussing, learning about sexual and reproductive health, because mothers and family is like, they're your first teachers. They teach you about everything else, and something as natural as sex and reproduction, health-wise, that should be something that is taught from the home. Because that's the first place that you learn anything. Before you even get to 12, you should be educated slowly, you know. This and this is happening. Your body is going to do this when you get to this age. You're going to experience this. This is how you deal with it. I think that if parents do that, it would eliminate a lot of problems. Teenage pregnancies. It would eliminate STDs that are just spreading like wildfire because children don't know. And the children of this age are very curious. If you don't teach us, we would learn about it somehow. So you might as well teach us the way that we can protect ourselves and protect the people around us. I think that's the best way.
And that's the problem that we need to filter out of this whole African mentality thing, seriously. I mean, yes, we have our culture, yes, we have our beliefs, yes, you know, those are the things that protect and help us, yes, but then again, the truth is the truth. I mean, if you're doing something and you know that there's good and bad results of it, fix it.
Even though many parents think that their young people are abstaining from sexual activities, many young people have mentioned that they actually are not. They would just hide it away from their parents. So it's best for parents to give young people the right information to explain to them why their cultural values are important, why they want them to be virgins. And perhaps if we have, or parents have honest conversations with young people or their children, they may be able to understand their values and abstain from sexual activities, instead of just assuming that they would not be doing any sexual activity if they threaten them, which is what many people would do. If you if you go close to a man, you will get pregnant, or if you get pregnant, you will not come back to my house. But they do. They get pregnant, they come back to your house. So it's important for us to have, or parents to have honest conversations around sexual health matters with young people.
Sex in general in the country is seen as a taboo, so nobody really talks about it. Like, if you talk about it, then you are given that eye that, oh, you are doing it, when really sometimes it's just you understanding what is going on with your own body, not necessarily being a part of the ongoing activities that people associate with it.
Based on research conducted by Fantanka, we have also found that many people do not go to service settings to access information because of professional attitude, especially young people. They may look at them as getting themselves involved in sexual activities at a young age, which is not, the norm in the Gambia, and that is a discouraging factor for many young people.
The African thing of, I don't want to go to the hospital to do this and that. No, I don't know, bro, it's your health. I don't want to go buy a condom. Why? I go to the shop, buy a condom. I go to the shop and get tampons for my wife. The African stigma of, this is our culture, we don't know this, but doing it on the low, but you're still doing it on the low.
Because I'm lucky to have internet. Somebody somewhere in the village doesn't have this access. And in their community, it's a taboo, so they know nothing about it. To give them better access, I think it will be easier to go to them, organize sensitization network, maybe conferences or seminars where people will be taught about these things. Let's go to them, because clearly people are not coming to find them because it's a taboo. But if the health sector takes it upon themselves and say, okay, we know our country needs this, we know people in the country need this, since they're not coming to us, let's go to them, I think that will be much easier. Send people to talk about these things and educate people, encourage them to talk about it. Just enlighten the country. I think that's the best way to go.
I know people see me and be like, oh, he doesn't know who he is, and this, that, and the other, but for me, I know who I am. And I know what I believe. So I'm not going to let anybody or anything affect that to the point where I'm going to be shy and stigmatized about protecting myself in any aspect, not just sexually, but in any aspect of life. I can't do that, so that's what we need to get the younger people to get out of that mentality. No, I'm not saying disrespect your elders, disrespect your leaders. No, there are, if you look online now, you can listen to other leaders from around the world, religious leaders that are telling you this, like, protect yourself. If you're doing this, it's haram, it's this and that, but still you must protect yourself.
I think getting them on board, because most at times when you want to talk about these things, they bring you the religious aspect, like you say that, oh, this is haram or something like that. But talking is always a way of solving issues. Have a platform where they can come on board. The people who are doing this service can come on board and exchange ideas, exchange knowledge about these things, telling them that if you want to prevent, say, teen pregnancy, these are the necessary mechanisms that we should put in place to make sure that this doesn't happen. We're not advocating for, these things to happen. We're telling you that these are the measures to stop them from happening.
It's very, very difficult to convince men. I was very difficult to be convinced, definitely. I will attend workshops, they would talk. After the workshop, I'll tell them, look, this will not happen, because I wasn't convinced. But when I was convinced, I tried my best to also convince others. Definitely, I have at least convinced some others that I know they are now convinced and they can also talk to others. So the best thing is we still believe it. This is a belief in us. So taking it out of us is to make us believe that what we believe in does not definitely exist. And then the right thing is this, and then we understand. If we understand, that's the end of it. I know it's a taboo. My parents will not talk to me about sex. They would not. They have never. But I believe they took me to school for a reason. And the little that I understood from school is what I would now bring to my children. What I did not enjoy with my parents, I'm not sure my children will go through the same thing. I would definitely teach them. I would definitely talk to them on sexual and reproductive health.
If parents speak to their children about sexual and reproductive health matters, they can avoid a lot of unforeseen circumstances, such as their young person falling pregnant at an early age. Although some people in this interview have highlighted that they seek medical advice when they feel like something is wrong with them, or just to make sure that they are healthy. This could just be people that are educated or have the confidence to basically seek service. But it would be better for parents, every parent, to take it upon yourself and talk to your child about just the general matter. For example, menstruation. Not many people have the opportunity to talk about menstruation to their parents, and that could bring embarrassment when they're in class and they have accidents. Boys could also be educated around sexual and reproductive health, especially things that affect women, such as menstruation, so they don't, resort to laughing at them when these accidents happen to them. Because boys, as well, they're not really educated around these kind of issues to support their sisters or their friends to take ownership of their body.
If you think about it, it wasn't there before the pandemic happened. How are they going to get it now, where everything is in lockdown mode? Before, everything was freely open, you could go anywhere. But now that things are closed or there's a limited duration for things being opened, how is that going to be available when it was not available within the normal circumstances? So that is the big problem here. I think generally services have been improved to be able to support COVID-19, but so far, considering we have such small numbers, I'm hoping they haven't moved them all to the COVID-19 section and forgotten that sexual and reproductive health is still going to exist whether COVID-19 is here or not. So I'm not sure how they have dealt with that really, but I think even during COVID-19, sexual and reproductive health should be very, 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 very prioritized.
I think it's the same because before some people, most of them are seeking it anyway. So what makes you think that now that you're locked down, they're gonna actually want to go seek it? So I think we need to fix it from the jump, COVID-19 or not. Educate the people, let them know, like, yo, this is what's happening. If you're doing this, this, and this, you need to also do this, this, and this. Very simple. But you can't just be like, nope, it's not happening. I don't see it until somebody's dead.
I think COVID-19 has impacted people in all forms of health situations because one, fear. People are not going to the hospitals anymore. Why? Because I'm afraid I'm going to catch the virus there, or I'm afraid I'm going to be my diagnosis is going to be mistaken for the virus and I'm going to be quarantined. There's this big cloud of fear. So people are not going to the hospitals for things like I have pain in my back, I have pain in my head. So they would definitely decide to ignore sexual and reproductive health, considering it's not considered something very important in the country. So due to that, the coronavirus has affected every other aspect. People are generally avoiding hospitals.
I know services definitely are not adequate. That is just the truth. We try, and I believe our hospitals are also trying, but they are not adequate, more so when it comes to this pandemic. Hospitals are not been taking patients as they used to do, even though those days they used to travel, but then now they are at a reduced number. I had an example where I know a pregnant woman who was to go to the hospital for maternity? I don't know how they call it.
Antenatal.
Yes, antenatal. And she has to wake up 3-4 a.m. to go to the Bundu Maternity Hospital because she was told that they will not take up to more than 10. So it is either she is part of the 10 or that day is just a loose day for her. So she has to wake up at 4 to go to that area.
We are now faced with coronavirus pandemic, and as a result, people are not going to school. Young people are at home, and the things that we may ignore in the homes are that young people are maybe subject to sexual violence. They may be sexually abused, and they may not be able to talk to parents about the abuses that's happening. So it's important now more than ever for people or parents to get their children closer to them, to be able to talk to them openly and honestly about anything that is happening to them. As simple as telling your child to talk to you whenever somebody touches their body inappropriately. You know, tell your young girls, let nobody touch your privates. You know, let nobody put their hands on your body. It's important. What could happen is, you know, for example, your little girl could be going to the toilet and you like want another person to go and clean them up.
That's one thing that pisses me off. Speak up. If something happened to you, somebody, your uncle, I don't care, whatever, speak up, please. Because things happen, and years down the line, you bring it back up and blaming this person, blaming that person, and then if you would have spoken up at this point, yes, some people might have been against you, but somebody will believe you. Somebody will know who you are and be like, no, this is wrong. So that's one thing that I would advise all the younger kids, their parents, check on your child, excuse me, especially your daughters. Check on them at all times. I don't have any daughters right now, I have my nieces, but yeah, I talk to them. Look, when you go somewhere, somebody touch you, somebody says something to you, tell me. You know what I mean? Because yeah, that's one thing I can't stand. I don't know why. I just can't. Protect your kids, protect yourself, speak to them, talk to them. That's it.
Even if we don't see it, we have heard about cases of sexual abuse happening to young people as little as 5. And these issues could be prevented if parents took more care, or had honest conversations with their young people instead of just giving them vague talks or vague advice around sexual and reproductive health.
Sexual violence has been happening in homes in the country for far too long. And I don't think that it will be realistic to say, oh, we can tackle it during this time just because it's COVID-19, because it's going to be more rampant now that people are spending more time together. But what can be done is we need to let people know that there are services that would be able to help you out of this. You have in places where you can report. If we do have these things, all you have to do is make a call and say, I'm being abused, I need help. And then help can be sent to you. These are certain things that if we have, I think it would minimize a lot of problems that we're having right now. If there's a helpline, I would call it if I'm in trouble. So I don't see why anybody else won't call. It's just like the 1025, the COVID-19 hotline. If we have something of that sort where all you need to do is pick up a phone and make a call or send a text, it would be much easier for people to communicate these things since they're not able to go.
I feel like we need to have mechanisms in place where we can help those people try and safeguard their own sexual and reproductive health rights, whether it's through videos or having talk shows on TV or just sending messages to say, this is happening, you should do this and this, or you can call here to get help. And if we do have that, I think that would go a long way in helping these people who do not know where to go.
Married couples, for instance, a man would always believe that you have a right over your spouse, that any time you feel is the time that you should have sex with your spouse, which I believe should not be the case. This should be reciprocal. It should be from you to her and from her to you. That is at a time convenient to both of you, and not when you feel to have it, you think you should have it by force. This is what leads to a lot of domestic violence if you go to our rural Gambians today. And they will tell you if there is a violence, you come, what happened? Nobody will tell you. They will say, ask them. They know. In a relationship, it's the two of you. She would also have the right to consent at a particular or a given time, whilst you have a right to also consent at a particular or given time. It is not that when you think you should do it, then you should come over her and discuss the violence that will always, encounter in our domestic houses around.
I think first we need to break that barrier that it comes to when you're talking about these issues. Stop taking it as a taboo or stigmatizing the issues about it. So having dialogues, open dialogues where people can come and talk about these issues in a public environment, having people of different backgrounds come in a public environment and talk about these things and say, this is not something you should hide about, would start the journey to making sure that we have services available for these people. So when that part is done, having an environment or a place where somebody can go and seek this information and get to know what is going on with them, having people to go out and advocate for these issues, talk about it, whether it's on TV where people can see it, or whether it's actually going to the streets where people don't have access to all these other technological advancements, would really help in people understanding how they can get to these services and how they can know more and understand what is going on with their bodies and the rights that they have when it comes to sexual and reproductive health.
We'll go back to provide home services. Go to them. Because right now everybody is supposed to be isolated. You don't expect to bring people together and do a sensitization, except if you're going to be able to adhere to the social distancing protocols and stuff, make sure everybody is effectively spaced out with your face mask and stuff. But even so, the whole point is to avoid gathering. So in my opinion, the best way is either to do films like these to educate people that are at home using the internet, because everybody is online these days. That's one. Or two, to chat to people. Look, if you need this services available, contact this number, we would come to you. If you need to do this, go on this website, you would find information. Just give people other options other than going straight to the hospital.
What definitely I will encourage is to definitely have a sensitization. Sensitization in not only the women fault, but then both the men and the women. Please talk to the men. They are the perpetrators most of the time. So talk to us. If you don't talk to us, you only talk to women, and you expect them to come and tell us traditional Gambian? No. If you come and tell me my wife, I will say no. Keep quiet, sit there.
Because it's not just women. If you teach women and then the men don't know, and we can say we can do whatever we want, no, I'm not going to do that. But if they don't have the information to say you cannot do this to a woman, this is not right, this is not what you're supposed to do, then the problem is still going to keep on going.
I remember I was never convinced, even on the FGM thing, I was never convinced. Until when I had lectures in my third year at the university, definitely. And this was a female lecturer on international human rights. And she went into FGM, and from that day I was convinced, definitely. I told my colleagues that I'm convinced. I have a daughter, and I definitely promise that she will not go through that. Yes, that I can say.
I mean, like I said, with the government and private sector, NGOs, sensitizing people, and also just getting that stigma out of people's heads of, shame on you. Like, no, I mean, they're doing it anyway, like I said. So it's better to be protected and know what the risks and the benefits or dangers are than to not to just be like, okay, nothing is happening, nobody's doing it until they get married, so yeah, everybody's cool. No.
Let's say if the pandemic was over, I think we need to go to those places, have what we call banter bars, and make sure that we talk about these things, where we can get community leaders to come, religious leaders to come, and separate them in a way that the women will be in a place where we're talking about especially women issues regarding them. We would go to the men and talking, because we're always saying women, but men also need to get this information, get them to talk about these things, because for men it's I know these things, but there's a lot you still need to learn. And then getting religious leaders to also have this information, so that when they're doing their Siemens or their Wares or things like that, they won't be saying no to these things. They'll be saying, this is the way we can solve these problems. This is how we're going to break the barrier of these problems keeping on rising. If we are able to talk about it in an open environment, then maybe the problems that we're facing or that we're seeing happening could be reduced. So I think these are the things we need to do when we go to the rural areas where access to the internet is not available.
Well, if you're sexually active or something like that, don't take a chance. If you feel something is off, you know your body. If you feel something is off, go get tested.
I think it is really important for these people who are giving these services to have an open mind, because you cannot have someone who says they're going to help you, but when you come for ask for the help, they look at you in a certain way.
Develop on your personal hygiene. That's extremely important. While you're at home, don't just sit around and be on Netflix all day or TikToking, since that's the trend these days. You know, learn something, teach yourself something, go online, read about stuff, go to different sources, ask people, call, just discuss. We have apps like House Party. You can have different people on it. Don't just be there talking about, oh, when the COVID-19 is over, we're going to throw this party. Teach each other about sexual and reproductive health. I think we should use this time much more wisely, in the sense, I don't think we would ever have this much time anymore.
No.
After COVID-19, everything is going to be intensified, because there's going to be so much to do. But then this is the best time to teach yourself at home. If people don't have access to it, this is the time to go to them and teach them, because they will definitely be at home. They're not supposed to be out.
Because we don't know what is going on with our children's lives. But if they understand that this is what they can do to prevent this from happening, it would prevent the issues from getting further out of hand than it already is. So getting a platform where you can sit and bridge that gap that is between the people who are giving the services and the people who are denying or speaking badly about the services, to make sure they're on the same page, would help a lot in making sure that people know and people aren't stopped from getting the services that they need.
Talking about sexual health matters is a taboo in the country. So many people feel shy or awkward or embarrassed to talk about sexual and reproductive health matters. As long as it's sex, people don't want to talk about it. They would rather, push the topic. They would rather not talk about it at all to avoid the embarrassment. It is hoped that parents would not see this as an attack, because that is not the intention at all. What we want to do is to help people understand sexual health matters a lot more. It is clear from these interviews that we're not just imagining these issues. It is the young people themselves that are telling us what's happening, and it's important for us to share it so we can educate each other to do better for ourselves, young people, and the country.